Do we know what the ancient Irish thought about other realms, other worlds?
We do
in any
to
way?
some degree. And again, like we don't have, no one sat down and wrote out, a little treatise on this is what the common people's beliefs are about these things. That would have been useful. That would have been. I'm glad that today we do have things like that, and hopefully they'll survive, 2,000 years from now. Help out those future anthropologists and folklorists. So, we have references. Actually, the oldest Irish language story about what we would call fairies in English, but the Aos Sidhe, the people of the fairy mounds, talks about that world. And it was basically understood as a very concrete physical realm, but one that could not necessarily be reached by humans intentionally. There's some accidental things that happen, but whereas the people who live there, the people of the other world, have this ability to cross back and forth. Humans tend to either wander in there accidentally or be taken in there. And it was this idea that it was something adjacent to the human world, connected to the human world, but also separated from it.
Oh, it's interesting. I did read somewhere that, I think it might have been a fiction book, that the actual fairy world used to be one and the same with ours. But because we upset them so much by destroying nature, they shifted it. Have you heard that one?
I have. And you're right, that is something that's modern. I haven't run across it in fiction that I know of, although I'm sure it's out there. I have run across it in the more sort of new age end of the scale kind of books. There's this idea that the fairies, the good folk, are sort of cousins to humanity, I guess we could say. That they came first and they're connected to us, but they were more evolved, more powerful, more magical. And when humans, it's a little unclear at what point this would have happened. And if you know anything about human history, you'll understand why it's unclear. But that humans at some point became too violent and too destructive. And so they sort of withdrew from this reality. We actually don't have enough of the older Irish material to know for sure what they believed about that. What we do have is basically just coming from the perspective that there's always been this divide. So there's no, well, to be fair, we don't have an Irish creation myth anyway for anything. We don't have an Irish creation story for how the human world was made. Any of that sort of stuff that has been lost. We have some hints about what it might have been, that you do need a microscope to kind of find in the stories. But we have some hints of stuff. We just don't have the actual full creation story like we find in some other cultures. And everything we do have sort of presupposes that there is this other world that exists adjacent to the human world and has these powerful, what we would call magical beings in it. So we don't really know how that started. And I believe the Welsh is the same as far as I'm aware. There's just an understanding that this is trees exist, rocks exist, and the other world exists is basically how it is.